All right. You guys ready?
Sure.
Should we do a quick
It's gonna take about 3 tries for Mike to get this right. It's one of my favorite parts.
I need my own fucking catchphrase.
You need your own intro.
I know. Come on, it's gotta be.
Do you need someone with some drumsticks to count you in or something?
No, I'm just. God,
Don't be scared.
this is what I do. All right. Maybe it'd be cool if it was like.
You're making me nervous, man. You're really making me freak out. Would you just start already? I'm freaking out.
Walking Blind is hosted by overly emotional dudes who overthink and overanalyze everything. Nothing the hosts say should be taken as medical advice or opinion. They're not professionals. They're about to make that very clear.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Walking Blind podcast. This is episode 60, and today we have a very, very awesome guest. Our boy Steve Easton.
Well done. Yeah, we've known each other for years.
Yeah.
He's just learned my last name, though.
This just happened. See, that's what I didn't want to do.
Yeah. Our boy Steve, let him go into more of the type of racing he does and his love for cars, but yeah, this is the podcast where we like to. I was gonna say generalize. This is the podcast where we like to normalize checking in on the homies. So thanks for being here. I'm Mike. That's Mike. I normally don't do intros.
And we're keeping it. Like we're not even gonna redo this.
No.
There's no professionalism whatsoever here on this show.
All right. Well,
You've made me feel a lot more comfortable with this intro. Now I feel like it's all uphill from
Yeah.
here.
It can only
get better. It can only get better. So, just to, because Mike kind of sort of introduced the fact that you race.
Mm-hmm.
You want to kind of give us like your history, your kind of like brief little intro to yourself, because Mike's so professional and is not great at telling the story.
Wow, it's been a while since he's probably heard any of that.
Yeah.
I haven't been around for a while. I've been back east for a few years. Just turned up in California again, hopefully for a little while. So I'm originally from Australia, if you can't tell from the accent. I tell most people I'm from Texas, but it's probably not going to work in this atmosphere.
And he did bring Vegemite.
I did.
He did bring Vegemite.
And
actually,
ginger bears.
I'm gonna break into the ginger bears. You guys want some?
yes, always. So I drag race for a living. Originally from Australia, been in the US for 10 years.
Mike is just the definition
Taking candy
of
from a
audio
stranger. This is right during my
right in the intro here.
when I'm talking about myself, I stuff candy in my mouth. This is working out really good so far. This is why they don't let me on video or on radio. Then we've accomplished that. They put a helmet on me so no one has to see me or hear me normally. That's how my life works. Put your helmet on, kid, and do your job. But no, I drag race. I used to have a big time fancy corporate job in Australia that made good money, and I hated my life.
That's fair.
And I came to America one time with a buddy of mine, conned me into coming over for some drag racing. And within about a day of being here, the car culture, the racing, all of the stuff that I loved, I was passionate about, it's just so much bigger and more fun here.
Yeah.
As soon as I got back to Australia, I started my green card application and started trying to figure out what it was going to take for me to be allowed to live here and work here.
Right.
It took about 4 or 5 years for all of that to go through. And then I came over and handed out a resume to a bunch of big professional drag racing teams. And luckily for me, John Force Racing, who's one of the big names in drag racing, they called me up once I got back to Australia and asked me to come over and work for them. And I was going to come to the US for a year, maybe 2 years, work on this big fancy race team and get a bunch of experience and then just be better at racing once I went home to Australia. Well, December 5th marks 11 years of me being in the US. Sorry, Mum and Dad. I'm coming home soon, I promise.
And when's the last time you actually did go back home? Like, what?
It's been 3 years.
Okay.
Christmas 2019, because of all of the global thingy with the stuff and
The thing
no
that
one's
happened.
allowed to do things, and like it was just uncomfortable and scary for a few years there.
Right.
So now that that's all over, airfares are 3 or 4 times the price of what they used to be.
It's insane. Yeah.
And I just can't justify giving the airline that much money to go and visit yet. Sorry, Mum and Dad again.
That's fair.
I was meant to be flying to Australia this week for a race team, and that all just fell over last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am with you guys instead, which is a pretty good consolation prize.
Yeah. Upgrade, not really, but you know,
It's something.
you know, it's something.
It's
It's something. So you said you've been on the East Coast. So, like, where have you been?
So I spent 2 years based in, well, not based, actually like living and working every day in Mooresville, North Carolina, which is something very out of the ordinary for me in the past decade of my life. I've been a bit of a gypsy, on tour a lot with NHRA Drag Racing all over the US, and then also working for some race teams in Australia, flying back and forwards a lot, and before the pre-global weirdness thing, I was just starting to try and get things rolling off my own back, doing some race car driving and tuning and helping some teams get set up and stuff like that. Freelance kind of thing, I guess you'd call it. So this year, I've been probably in the last 6 weeks had a fair bit of, maybe 2 months, fair bit of changes in my life. No longer in North Carolina, back on the road again, back mobile and kind of a gypsy again, and starting to try and make my life work for me the way I want again, and try and make it on my own terms again, which is really exciting and really freaking scary at the same time, you know, like I'm good enough at what I do to be able to make a career out of it, but you know, life's a bit scary when there's nobody that just gives you a paycheck every week, and
Definitely.
you know, there's no like, this is what you need to do, and if you do this you're okay, and you can just live your life. It's just me making it up as I go and try and figure it out and learn from my mistakes and enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot more than my big corporate job that I had in Australia. It's a lot better now.
I don't blame you on that one.
Even the most stressful day, the scariest days, everything like that, like, I'm happy. So much more happy than I was. So that's a good thing. It's
a hard jump for a lot of people to walk away from that steady paycheck, you know, like that. Like even me, like I'm the prime example. Like I still keep my job, like over here at the hospital, because it pays the bills, it pays the mortgage, right? It pays for everything. But at the same time, you're like, I want to be doing something that I enjoy doing every day. I'm passionate about every day, and that's like that in between is so tough for you know.
I feel like having a mortgage and acquiring assets is probably worth it, though.
That's been the good part. Yeah, that's been the good part. But
still have nothing more than what I left high school with. So, you know, it'll be good when I go to retire at 107 when I can afford to retire.
But so that transition, like what was it just the trip to California or out here that you were to the States where you were like, okay, this is it for me? Or was it kind of a build up, or was this like a...
So initially I was traveling to the US 2 or 3 times a year and still had my big corporate job and working too hard. And I was looking for, I guess, ways to get rid of the stress that my job caused.
Right.
And once I started racing here a little bit more and realized it was achievable for me to actually be able to get a green card and be able to come here and live here and work here, I put a lot of focus into that. And pulled it off, I guess, and got a job on a big race team. And the whole idea there was to kind of build a name for myself in the industry over here, so at least people knew who I was. And I don't know that I ever stopped and thought about it long enough to get scared of what I was doing. I was just so focused on trying to accomplish the next goal or get over the next hurdle that was in my way of wanting to do this, I guess, crazy thing that I thought I was going to be able to do. I never stopped long enough to think whether it was achievable or not. Had I have thought about it, I probably would have scared myself out of it.
Right.
But I just enjoyed it so much. Like, this, to me, I kind of describe living in the US as like Peter Pan and Neverland for me. Like, this is my Neverland. Like, everything I love to do, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to race this kind of car, or like race in this area of America, or do this, or it just seems to happen. It seems to work out. Like, I don't do anything else. It totally engulfs my life. I think it's probably more an obsession than a career, you know, whatever, all those things that people with regular jobs say to me, but I love it. You know? My quality of life, my day-to-day happiness is definitely streets above where it was before.
Yeah. And that's what counts.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, for sure. I think so anyway.
Did you have, I don't know if I've ever asked this, but do you have any kind of like racing in your family, or do you have any friends that were in it? Like, how did you even know how to do this or how to approach it?
I think I'm just was like dick-brained enough to not be afraid of trying to go fast, and just accidentally good enough at it that I didn't crash and die. Like, my dad, he kind of amateur raced street cars when he was young, but once he had kids, he didn't do anything like that. He was pretty straight, pretty business oriented, and like always focused on work and stuff like that. So,
shout out to Hot Rod, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, Dad. Sorry.
The shop knows him as Hot Rod.
Nice.
But it's probably in me a little bit from him. He was well into like custom cars and doing all kinds of crazy shit when he was young, but then he had a family and kind of, I guess, focused on making sure we had what we needed, you know, to grow up with, which is great. Thank you for everything you've supplied me with. I'm still trying to figure out how to pay him back. I'm trying to build him a car at the moment, a 1934 Ford that
sick.
I haven't touched in 2 years because I bailed on California to go to the Carolinas when all the unpleasantness started and everything got shut down in California, and you weren't allowed to leave your house or go anywhere to buy anything and all of that nonsense.
So is it the Ford just in storage right now, or is it...
yeah, basically it's in a buddy's garage, taking up half of his garage.
Nice.
Luckily,
It's a good friend. He's a
very good friend, and he likes my dad a lot, which I think is the important part.
Yeah.
But,
That's cool, man.
I got into racing on accident. I was driving to work one day. I used to be a diesel truck mechanic, a semi-truck mechanic, and I was driving to work one day in my little old piece of crap Datsun.
Nice.
It was the first car I think I ever drag raced, or the second car. Ran 22 seconds on the quarter mile. To date, the fastest I've been on the quarter mile is about 4.7 seconds. So substantially faster than 22 seconds.
Shit.
At about 287 miles an hour-ish.
And what are you driving?
That was in a nitro funny car.
Okay.
So now, majority of what I race at the moment is pro modified. So they look a bit like a real car still, but they got this massive, huge engine hanging out the hood with like a big supercharger on it. But you still have to open a door to get in and out of it. Whereas a funny car, the whole body like flips up.
Lifts up,
Yeah. So the pro mod's a little bit more, A little bit more of a street car. I think more people still kind of connect with it. It's the largest growing market in drag racing at the moment, and Top Fuel and Funny Car is probably the fastest shrinking market in drag racing.
I was trying to explain to Mike because he had kind of mentioned when it comes to cars, Mike is just lost, and I say that with the most respect and politeness as possible.
He smiles really nice and listens to me when I ramble on about cars.
He nods really well. But I was trying to explain to him like what a funny car was, and I was like, well, think about the cars that kind of look like toys that look kind of funny. Like that's it. That's the funny car, But so how long were you racing the funny cars before you switched to?
Probably about 10 years.
Okay.
I was racing predominantly funny cars, alcohol, nostalgia, licensed in the Big Show Nitro funny car. And then I started getting involved in some pro mod cars, just consulting, helping them with some problems or a little bit of tune-up stuff or whatever, and then ended up driving one of them to try and help figure out some problems the car was having.
Right.
And
it was a game changer.
They're really technical to drive. They're really a lot of fun to drive. I've always loved funny car, and I know how to drive them. I know what to expect. I got jumped in a pro mod, and they got suspension like a street car, and you sit off on the side like in a street car. Whereas a funny car is all solid, no suspension. It's just a purpose-built chassis for drag racing, and you sit in between the back wheels. Right. So you kind of like bolted to the back wheels almost. So the car talks to you a lot as you're driving it. You can feel the car moving around and what the tires are doing. And I jumped in one of these pro mods, and with the suspension, it was like I was numb.
You could feel it, yeah.
And the car wasn't speaking to me. So just like sneak up on me and be like, you're sideways now. Good luck. So I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. It was a new challenge. It was something a little bit different and very technical to drive. And I'm young enough that I need to think about what I'm going to do. Even though I'm living my dream, right? And I'm doing what I love every day. I still want to be able to do it into the future and not love something so much that I love it into the ground and follow it, into the grave with it. So that's kind of what I saw with the Top Fuel funny car stuff. And I still got some very good friends in that side of the sport that are still chasing their dreams and still pushing their limits and trying to achieve their goals. And I don't know. I'm pretty happy with my move to pro mod, and I think it was a good idea. And I get enough of a challenge out of that and enough enjoyment out of it to keep me motivated to work as hard as I do, which is normally 7 days a week, 14, 18 hours a day, drive across country all over the place just to do it, to work on it, to drive it, to be involved in it. You know. It's a passion and an obsession, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm not like super plugged in as far as like, racing and all that goes. But from what I've seen, like I don't see the funny car races as often now as other things. And like I kind of do, like I kind of get to see a little bit of it just because I do voiceover work, and I work with a buddy of mine who does a lot with like enthusiast networks like Hot Rod Magazine and Motor Trend, things like that. And so I've seen like some of like the nationals and everything like that they put on, and kind of done voiceover stuff for that. And I always think it's really interesting. It looks really cool, just seeing all that. But funny car doesn't come up as often as maybe as it once did.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. It definitely had its heyday back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And it's $5 to $7 million a year to campaign a competitive nitro funny car team these days.
Yeah.
Which it's difficult to find that funding.
Yeah.
even for guys that have been in the sport for decades, that are mainstays of the sport, it's still difficult to find that much funding. A football team, way easier to get sponsorship for a football team, and I guess it's way easier to get people to like football. Just tell them they have to cheer for one team,
Yeah.
and then they're into it.
Yeah, we definitely have found like an interest. I didn't think like kind of veering off into this football talk. I didn't think that people were going to be as pumped on it as everyone has been. The ones that like joined our little competition. People are watching the games, and we got a big group chat going. Like I'll walk away from my phone so people know I don't have Instagram notifications turned on. Right, like I don't. So I just when I log in and check on it, then I'll just see like the list of messages. So it's not because I'm ignoring people. It's just the fact that like I don't have the notifications on. But like the conversations and everything from this little football, bracket that we did was like been pretty cool. Seeing everybody jump in and cheer for teams that they don't give a shit about. I forgot until halfway through the game that my team was playing, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Dude, for the first thing I've really discovered in this is
that you like football.
How much? No.
That you're a Raiders fan
is how much. Stop outing me, man. Is that I didn't realize. I mean, I guess I should have, but like, truly, how much coverage football gets. My goodness, because like for me, I was just like, we assigned teams on Friday, so this is like brand new still. Yeah. I went on YouTube right away. I was like, I should probably figure out who are the Bills. Who is this team?
Who are the Bills?
Who are the Bills? I want to understand, right? And so I'm thinking like I'm gonna have to like go on to ESPN and try to find this and that. No, there's like Buffalo Bills channels. Like official ones, unofficial ones, and then like just
people have podcasts.
Everybody, yeah, dude. Yeah. There's a doctor. He has an insane amount of followers. There's a doctor, and his whole channel is based on what he sees as an injury on the field, and he gives his like 2 cents of like. Obviously, I don't get to see but the way he rolled his ankle, the way he was walking off of it. That looks like it's this time frame for that kind of injury, 3 to 4 weeks,
and that's
6 to 8 months.
That's a whole channel.
Yeah, and I mean, like it is, like I said, it's crazy though. Like how that's a doctor. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he probably just does that now.
That's wild.
So
how many guests have you had that have to pee like a racehorse this early in the podcast?
Oh, we have editing magic, dude.
We have editing magic. If you need to pee,
I gotta pee.
Yeah, go pee.
Yeah, I'll show you what's next.
we usually go right around the corner here.
Just leave it running.
Just let Mike talk.
Yeah. Wait, really? Oh yeah. Do you think we'll edit this?
Huh?
Probably not, huh?
Nah.
All right, my time. All right, so as these are fucking good.
Yeah.
So I'm eating these ginger bears.
Snack time with Mike.
These are 100% Australian, and I'm trying to see what the there's sugar in this. That's right. It's okay. Ginger's good for you. Okay. Ginger bears, good and good for you. Next sponsorship. You know what? While they're out, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna take this time. I'm gonna be proactive. Show me that smile again. I'm gonna do this now. If Mike doesn't like it, we can redo it. Okay. But I figured a lot of dead air. So we had mentioned that we wanted to do the first week. Everyone, whoever loses, they get another opportunity. Right. The caveat, which we really go into, were the ones who had the number 1 and 2 seeds, which is actually you, Jesse. You had the number 1 rank, the Chiefs, and then I think Lucy had the Eagles. And so you guys don't necessarily have that opportunity, but the flip to that is that you guys have both have arguably the best teams.
Right. Is it good? Yeah.
And so
Sweet. I'm glad we have success on one of the kinds of candy.
dude, this is good.
Yeah. That's my favorite candy in the whole world, that ginger candy. So where my mum and dad's new house is, they're like 10 minutes away from there. Yeah. Maybe a little more, but
Yeah, I did a promo for this while you guys were gone.
Did you?
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I was gonna do while you were gone, because I was like, I don't know how long you guys be gone. I don't know how
We
long.
went together.
I don't know how
You
long
know,
an
it
Australian pee is. You know.
We actually compared the way that the toilet flushes. Yeah.
Saves time when you pee together.
I like that. I was gonna do putting on the losers on new teams.
Oh yeah, we got to do that.
I had a way to do it, which is basically so I put the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Jaguars, and then the winner of the Cowboys and Bucks. So those 4 teams are the only teams right now that have one person on them.
Oh, okay.
So they each need, at least 2, and then there'll be 3 teams that have 3 people on them. And so, do we want to do this now, or do we want to do it?
We can do it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. The teams that have 3 people should be the teams that me, you, and Jesse are on.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Yeah, we can do another time. Anyway, so
Behind the scenes
staying on the
podcast with Mike and Mike.
staying on the look at that. This is the tour.
This is the tour video.
We'll have to repost this.
It's super way too professional for me. I don't know what I've got myself into here.
Dude, it's really just the boom. I think the boom stands really.
It is. Having a microphone in my face like this makes me just hungry. I don't know why.
You're like it's making my jaw cramp for no reason.
I don't know.
Sorry.
How do they know I gag when I brush my teeth every day?
But yeah. So staying on the whole football thing, it's kind of just weird and fun how into it we were.
People
Like
got
watching
that.
the game. I was getting a little like because from what I had heard, it was supposed to be an easy game for the Bills.
For the Bulls.
For the Bulls, because the Miami quarterback, their starter, is hurt, so they had like their 3rd string quarterback or something, and so it should have been a pretty easy game for them, and it wasn't. It came down like till the very end.
But the Bills have that. What's his name?
Diggs?
Wasn't it one of the dudes from the Buffalo Bills that had like a
Oh
the heart failure or whatever?
yeah.
So they have a reason to win, man.
Yeah, that's true. And that I'm cheering for them.
I also enjoy sport ball a lot.
To be fair, you are the only athlete in this room. Technically,
I don't think you can call me an athlete, man.
I mean, if you look at us on this couch, you're
hang on
clearly
to a
the most
steering
athletic.
wheel. I just hang on to a steering
Hey,
wheel,
but you keep
man.
it straight, man.
Yeah.
That's what counts.
Hey, you know what?
I don't even have to turn left,
Yeah.
right? I just like it's not that much, right? Just little bits.
Is there? This is probably a stupid question. Are there races where you start the other way? Is that a thing?
What do you mean?
Going left to right?
In drag racing?
Yeah. Or no, not in drag race, just racing in general.
Well, there's some racing that you like can turn left and right. I think like
Yeah.
road racing, like the Long Beach Grand Prix.
Yeah.
It's like they turn left and right. I think it's just
Formula One. You're
It's just mostly NASCAR and that I think that just turns left. I don't think they ever turn right only though.
no, I don't think so either.
I
I,
need some research.
I don't think there's a NASCAR race that only goes right.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
They should do that though. They should be
do
like,
one
all right,
just
all right,
in
guys, let's see how you guys do.
and just be like, all right, everyone's got one gear in reverse. Let's do it. Everyone go backwards. That'd be a fun race.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Wouldn't you just have to just turn the cars around? Go that way around?
So the suspension, the shape of the chassis, the offset of the wheels, and the size of the tires, and all this sort of stuff is all designed on those cars exclusively to turn left. So if you tried to turn right in those
In
cars,
those
you'd
cars.
just crash. Like there'd just be a fireball, I think.
But I wonder if they had like a different league where it's like
The right turn league.
Maybe there's a drivers
The
that drive
RTL.
better the other way and ones you can't. You know what I mean? Anyway, but also racing's on ESPN, so it's a sport.
True. Yeah.
It doesn't make me an athlete.
So with like drag racing and funny car racing, you know, have you ever noticed like if your weight fluctuates, does it really affect the car and your performance or?
Well, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm built like a toothpick, right? So it definitely helps. Definitely helps. My
Yeah.
weight doesn't fluctuate a whole lot. Hasn't since about 1987. But
I just thought you were like a master of your craft.
Yeah, I thought maybe you were just training all the time.
He chose to look this way.
Yeah.
I do. You know, I could be easily 3 pounds heavier, you know, if I let myself go. Right?
Fuck you, man.
I could be 42 pounds, right? But I work pretty hard at staying in shape and staying healthy. Not so much just for drag racing, but for my own sake.
Yeah.
I enjoy feeling good. I don't like feeling bad. But I'm about, on average, 100 pounds lighter than most of my competition in drag racing.
Interesting.
Most guys that I compete against. So it's a little bit of a benefit in some cases. Sometimes, like, you have a minimum weight for a race car, and sometimes you can build the race car light enough that even a driver heavier than I am, the race car's light enough that the car still is just minimum weight.
Right.
But there's a lot of instances where either they don't really check the minimum weight, so it's kind of on the honor system.
Right. Does minimum
Not
weight
that-
include driver?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And in a lot of the racing, it's car and driver at the end of the race. After you've
Interesting.
finished the race.
Okay.
So that's our minimum weight. So pulling 100 pounds out of a race car that's already a light car, that's already full of exotic metals and fancy parts and stuff to make it lighter, can get seriously expensive.
Right.
I know some guys that have spent $5,000 or $6,000 to pull out a pound or two. Well, put me in the car and it's 100 pounds less.
100 less,
It's,
yeah.
it's a pretty good place to be. So it's
Interesting.
something that I offer as well. It's something else that is part of my package.
Yeah.
I can do it. I'm pretty good at it. And I'm also probably lighter than most other people as well.
Interesting. Interesting.
So it helps. It helps. I don't think that's the most important part.
Yeah.
In racing, I've been
Right.
beaten in drag races by guys that are at least twice as heavy as me, at least. So I don't think it's really the be all and end all of drag
Yeah.
racing. But,
We should take Mike to a drag race.
we should.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah.
I plan. There's a list that I don't think we've ever discussed this, but like I want to go to a rodeo this year.
Let's go to a rodeo, dude.
I want to go. Now we'll go to some drag racing.
Like a real rodeo or like a PBR bull riding thing.
Whatever Norco has for us.
That's a rodeo. It might not be as wild as other rodeos, but it's a rodeo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to travel like to another state for this.
Like going to Vegas for the grand finals of professional bull riding.
Wait, are you into that kind of stuff?
No, but it just happens to be on the similar weekend as when we're there drag racing. So that's why I know about it. Sounds like I'm into bull riding. Sorry.
On the side, I do a little
Yeah.
bull riding.
You're like 8 seconds. Come on.
That's a really long time compared
is.
to what I
It is
spent
a long
doing my
time.
job, right? Like 8 seconds is a lifetime to me.
Yeah.
Shit, I got it all wrong if it takes me 8 seconds. But that's the crazy part about, especially drag racing. The more you get into it, the more money you spend, the higher level you get in racing, right? The less time you get to enjoy doing what you
Right.
do.
Right.
I started off first
Get faster
car
and
I
faster.
drove 22 seconds going down the racetrack, right? Now I'm on average, somewhere in the 3 seconds. I'm going down the racetrack, and the only 8th mile is most of what I'm racing at the moment with Pro Mod. It's half track. But yeah, like, I get to do what I love. Less and less, the better at it, and the like.
Yeah, I love
the faster you
driving,
go.
but I don't do it as often anymore. Yeah. Any crazy accidents or any crazy?
Let me knock on some wood real fast.
Yeah.
No accidents, no some crazy stuff, but no bad accident. I had the whole funny car body, blew the engine up, and then the whole body flew off through the air, and like all the fire came over me pretty good one time. Same funny car, different time. Engine blew up again. Caught me on fire pretty good. Had a Pro Mod engine blow up. It shattered the whole front of the car off. That was pretty exciting. I used to have the nickname of Psycho Steve. When I first started drag racing in Australia, I was racing these old cars that were originally street cars that were heavily modified and massive big engines in them with massive superchargers on them, and really a car not designed to go that fast, trying to just go as fast as we could. And I was a punk, 20, 21 years old, and didn't have any fear of anything and not enough brain or experience to really know what I should be afraid of. Yeah, right. So
the best combination is what you're saying.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, the best combination for this.
So I ended up with this nickname of Psycho Steve because of my driving habits and my how crazy the car would get out of control, and I would just keep my foot planted and just ride it out and slide all over the racetrack and like get it up on 2 wheels sideways sometimes and stuff like that. So I've done a lot of spectacular driving, I guess. It's a saying I try and live by. If you can't be fast, be spectacular. So
nice.
You know,
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
kind of trying to accomplish both if possible, but the faster the car goes, and I don't own these cars.
Right.
I get paid to drive this car for someone for the purpose of winning the race.
Right. Yeah.
Drag racing is kind of an entertainment sport. So even if you don't win, sometimes you'll still get a lot of really good airtime or publicity or whatever if it's just spectacular.
Right.
But normally the guy that owns it and paying the bills
Not
isn't
happy.
super stoked when it's like tens of thousands of dollars of his investment is like melted or on fire or like something bad's happened to it. As much as it's cool to see it on the highlight reel or whatever, like being in the winner's circle is what they want you to accomplish. So that's kind of what I try and focus on as much as possible, but you gotta have fun in the same time.
It makes me think of Talladega Nights. Where he's always like fucking up all the cars.
So going off that, Mike kind of started a series of like little quick questions I wanted to ask as far as racing goes for you.
Okay.
Do you have
No pressure.
so going down? Do you have a race like a song in your head? Do you have like a go-to song when you're racing? He does. Yes.
Please tell me it's like Highway to the Danger Zone or Final Countdown. One of the two.
No, I don't even know like who sings this song, but like back when I was younger, and I first started racing, I would get like more and more amped up as the race went on, and when I was starting out, I wasn't racing pro racing, so it was bracket racing, it was handicap racing. So you had to say, I'm going to run this fast, right? And you would go up to the racetrack, and the guy in the other lane, he would say, oh, I'm going to run this fast, right? So it would come up on the scoreboard who was going to run what. And you had to run as close to that. If you ran faster than that, you automatically lose. They call it breaking out. So it's a way to make it fair, even if you don't have all the money to be the fastest person there is. So it's a way to get people into drag racing. So as the race would go on, I get more and more amped and more excited and everything. And I'd go faster and faster and faster, and I'd lose because I couldn't go faster than what I said I was going to go. I don't do that kind of racing anymore because that is too hard for me. I just always want to go faster. But it was like a techno remix of some song, You've Got to Pump It Up. And I don't know who sings it or who the song is or whatever. And it was just a remix that I don't know how I even had it.
Just got you.
But I would sit there and I'd put my headphones in the car, and I would sit there and the car would be bopping and moving, and I'd be there with my whole helmet on and everything, and no one can talk to me, like, 'cause I'm all suited up, and I'd just be bopping away. And the car would be shaking and moving and that, and people would walk past and like look all weird at me and look in the car, and it was just my technique of trying to
Maybe
get
that's
to
where
that
you got
level.
Psycho Steve from.
Yeah, maybe it was that.
They're like, what is...
It's a combination of
This
the
is
things.
a mental health podcast, right? So I feel like, let's be real for a moment. The guy that I first started racing for wasn't a very good man, and I didn't know it at the time. But actually, I had gone through a bit of trauma in a couple of years before I started racing, and I was just ready to start dealing with it, and just started going to a psychologist. And that's was the combination of me being a bit loose on the racetrack as a driver, and he thought it was hilarious that I was going to a psychologist. So that's actually where the name Psycho Steve came
Interesting.
from.
Awesome.
And that's not
Interesting.
anything that's been publicly released before, so you've got the exclusive right here.
You heard it here
I love
first.
that.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that's where it came from. That's where it came from. As much as I'd like to pretend that I'm a well-adjusted human being, I'm a douchebag at heart and struggle every day.
We're all just...
That's why I push so hard. Like, it's what keeps me going. Yeah.
We're all douchebags just trying to
Yeah.
hide it.
We're all douchebags just trying to be politically correct in this world here. Trying is a loose term that we use around here.
All right. So then my next one, do you have any pregame, like, is there like any like ritual, suspicions, anything that you do or you have to do before each race?
No, I'm not really superstitious or anything like that. I do, yeah, I don't really have any of that sort of stuff. I do really like it when things go the same every time I strap into the car. Like, the same person helps me tighten my seatbelts up and things like that. That kind of just makes me a little bit more comfortable as the day goes on. Like, it's a pretty high stress environment, drag racing, and it's quite a really close knit team sport. So it takes multiple people to make a drag car ready for the race. The driver gets all the glory, right? The driver's the front man, I guess, of the race team, and the driver gets the blame when it doesn't go right. The driver does get all the glory in the winner's circle and stuff like that. But for me, knowing it's never ever my vehicle, right? It's always somebody else's vehicle. It's my job. It's what I get paid to do. Or sometimes it's just some friends or whatever. We're doing it for fun. But I got pretty big shoes to fill as a driver. There's a lot of expectations on doing your job right, keeping control of something that's crazy powerful, like 4,000 horsepower. The Nitro funny car I drove, it was about 11,000 horsepower. You know, it's like more than every NASCAR that turns up at the racetrack.
That's
right.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot.
I kind of internalize a lot of that pressure and maybe tell myself there's more pressure on me than there actually is. I don't really know, but I'm good at dealing with it. I really enjoy it. I really seem to thrive in that high pressure situation of drag racing. And as the rounds go on, or it's an uphill battle, I got a really strong competitor in the other lane for the next race, and we know we're not faster than he is. And that means it puts everything then on me as the driver. If my reaction time is faster than my opponent, who's faster than I am in the car, if I react quicker and I leave first, right, the light goes green and I'm the first one to go, then that's pretty much like everything I can do as a driver. And luckily, touch wood again, I've been in those situations a bunch of times, and I've been able to pull it off a lot of time. Anytime I've won a race, I've actually won a round in that race that I've won on a whole shot, which means I left first when the green light went down. I was the first one to leave. The other guy was faster than I was, and his time was faster than mine. But because I left first, I got to the other end first. Even though my car was slower, I still beat him there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of racing, right? You don't have to have the best equipment. You don't have to be the best guy. You just got to be the best guy at the moment on that one day. You know, it's something that teaches you a lot of respect for the work that everyone puts in, your competitors, keeps you very humble, because you can go out and win a race or go faster than you've ever been before and still lose. Or, you know, you win a race this weekend and go to the race next weekend and not even qualify. And all your shit's still the same and you're going just as fast as you did last weekend. But all of a sudden everybody else just magically went faster, and you go from hero to zero constantly, instantly in drag racing, which is probably a good thing for me. To keep me grounded and
at any time things can change. Yeah. So what is that like for you, because I'm sure it's different for everybody, what is that like 3-4 seconds like is it tunnel vision? Are you aware of where your opponent is?
Slow mo, right? Okay. It's like it's like 30 seconds, that 3-second race. Very aware. I don't know if it's the adrenaline once it starts. Like, I do a lot of driver training as well for new drivers or someone that's built a race car or bought a race car. A lot of people in pro mod are successful small, medium-sized business owners that can afford to buy or build, you know, a car that's $500,000, and then campaign it, which is, you know, at least that or more a year on top of that. So because I've always driven other people's cars, and it hasn't been that situation for me where I can afford it, it's my stuff, I'm just going to go out there and play with it and have fun and do whatever it is. It's been other people graciously wanting me to drive their vehicle. I've taken it very seriously in what I do as a driver, and I guess develop my own techniques of how to not mess it all up,
right?
And how to learn from it every time. So I run a camera on my helmet every run. I watch every run I make. I watch it back multiple times. Weeks and weeks later, I'll just sit down and I'll load up the runs and watch them and see if I can spot anything I didn't do good enough, or I could do better, or just something I didn't remember or notice or whatever. So for me, drag racing that 3 seconds or 4 seconds or whatever, it's like a very long time. And the burnout is probably my favorite part. I could definitely do a burnout the whole length of the racetrack.
Right.
If anybody is okay with that, let me know in advance. I'll do it in a heartbeat. Most of the time I do it, I didn't ask permission first, and I get in quite a bit of trouble. But so far, no one's kicked me out of drag racing for doing it. I've only ever done it once in the US. I've done it a fair few times around Australia and New Zealand. But racing's a little bit more serious here at the professional level in US. So the guy in the other lane that I'm about to race, as his engine's getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and your whole tune-up for the way the engine works and what you expect it to happen is all really based around a lot of factors that are out of your control that you try and control as well as you can. Yeah. So if the guy in the other lane does something stupid and does a burnout like almost all the way down the racetrack, and it takes 3 times longer for him to get back to the start line than what would normally happen, most everyone on that other race team wants to punch you in the head. and I'm little, not really a fighter, trying to avoid getting
Yeah.
punched in the head if I can.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That was my next question.
yeah,
My next question is, how often have you been punched in the head?
Have you been? Has there? I don't know. Would you call them a pit fight or what are those?
There's not any time I've been involved, but I've definitely worked with some race teams that have been in some pretty epic pit fights. Yeah.
like the whole team gets.
The whole team, like, jump in, like, team against team, and just fists and bodies and stuff flying everywhere and anywhere. But
Because I imagine, based on what you said, like one, it's family, camaraderie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when there's that much money on the line, I don't know. I just feel like when shit hits fan, it probably gets pretty gnarly.
it can. I don't know. I've been mostly on the higher professional level of drag racing, more so than the grassroots level of drag racing. I think there's a lot more emotion at the grassroots level because you're putting in everything you have personally and
Into
your own
your car,
personal
yeah.
money and stuff like that. Whereas at the professional level, it can get to that. And I have seen that at the professional level. But it's weird. In drag racing, like, you can see the same brand names on the side of a car, on the side of a drag racing vehicle, as you do, say, on the side of a NASCAR, right? And you see on the highlight reel of a NASCAR race, big time NASCAR driver gets the shits with some other driver and bashes him with his helmet, right? Well, that dude gets all this publicity and he's got sponsors bashing his door down to throw money at him, right? He can buy a new helicopter or whatever the hell he buys, right? With all of this publicity he gets from beating someone with his helmet or throwing his steering wheel out the window or something. In drag racing, like, a way less violent, a way less aggressive situation happens, and all of a sudden you're getting phone calls from your sponsor like, wow, we really don't like this, that's not the professional look that we're hoping. And so
Maybe it's because your sponsors are only seeing their logo for 3-4 seconds at a time versus a car going left for 4
drag
hours or
racing
whatever it is.
it isn't near as popular,
Right.
as turning left for 5 hours in a row for some reason. But yeah, it's been weird. So, and I'm obviously not from here, right?
Yeah.
I'm a foreigner. So I'm always a little bit, got to work a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder to try and get those opportunities, find funding,
Right.
things like that, being a foreigner in the US. Obviously, everybody's very patriotic of whatever country they're either from or they choose to live in. I'm from Australia. This is clearly my home, has been for 11 years. I love it here. And I try and carry myself as well as I can and try and, I guess, wave the banner for Australia professionally-ish.
Yeah.
Like, people wouldn't like me too much if I was 100% professional, but I try and not start fights and arguments at the track, at least.
Also, with the fact that you said that everybody's about 100 pounds heavier than you, it's probably not a good idea to throw your
Body's flying.
Never been in a fight in my whole life,
Never?
except with my older brother, which I
Okay.
don't think really counts. I used to rub hot sauce in his underpants, so I probably deserved it.
Well, I will say this before I forget it. You reviewing your runs essentially. That's what athletes do. they review game tape.
True.
So
True.
you're just building your case here that you are, after all, an athlete and the only one in this building.
Nike, get
I
this
don't
man
know.
a sneaker.
Yeah.
I feel like Mike is definitely more energetic in bursts than I am. I don't spend an hour or two jumping around on stage. Like, that's a lot of hard work.
It comes at a price.
Yeah. Hurt ankles, sore calves.
Bruised ego.
Yeah, bruised ego.
When you're tired, you've done all this work that you've done, and then after like 3 songs, you're like,
Leaning on the amplifier, trying to catch your breath.
It's funny because like I came to the realization one day why dudes like mic stands so much. Like normally you take the mic,
dude.
but you have something to lean on if you have the mic stand in front of you. Like,
and it keeps you there.
yeah,
You have to run
Keeps you
around.
in one play.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyway, we don't have to go into that stuff. Okay, in your opinion, best racing or car movie?
Let's just go with Talladega Nights because who doesn't love Ricky Bobby and the Invisible Fire?
Was that the other
kids
cars?
to be pansies. I'd have named him Dr. Quinn and Medicine Woman. And I just lived in like Mooresville, North Carolina for the last 2.5 years, which is NASCAR Central, right? Like, I feel like every time you turn a corner and every time you meet somebody new, there's a really strong chance it's Ricky Bobby.
Dude, I love that movie.
Me too.
It's so good.
All right. And then this is, I guess, more of like more personal, but not that personal. What's something Australian that you miss being out here?
Meat pies. It's not street food, but handheld food in Australia. It'd be like going and getting a taco. It's getting a meat pie. There's nothing that even comes close to that here in the US, and it's not something that I can have shipped over, like the candy or the Vegemite. I'll never miss Vegemite. I eat it every day.
Which
every
he also
day.
brought for us.
Yeah, I was really hoping that somebody hadn't tried Vegemite and we could accidentally convince them that it was Nutella and let them try it. But no, that was shot down. Everybody's tried Vegemite.
I was saying earlier that our buddy's girlfriend at the time, she spared us. Which, looking back right now, is kind of a bummer because we didn't get to have that experience. But
this is the Vegemite, right? It's in. I even brought. So, you work at Daily Brew, right? I brought in a whole fresh, brand new jar the one day, right? Because everybody's like, "Oh my god, I want to try Vegemite. I want to try it." So, I just got a shipment from my family of like a care package, right, to keep myself sane, and in it was some Vegemite, 2 jars, 1 jar, brand new. I thought, well, I can't take an open jar down to like this place and like let everybody lick the spoon I've licked, right? So took a brand new jar down, left it there because people come and go, right? It's not all the same people working every day. I'll just leave it here. You guys try it, whatever. So what's the guy's name?
JP.
That's right. Yes. He tasted it the first day I left it there. He was working that day. He tried it and threw it away.
Threw the whole thing
Threw
away.
the whole brand new jar of Vegemite away. And it was like a big jar of Vegemite because he didn't like it. He's like, this is disgusting, and threw it away.
He's like, no one's going to like this. It's like, give us that opportunity to not like it.
Yeah, give me the chance to not like it.
And heartbroken. That was probably about 6 months supply of Vegemite
jar.
for me.
We were all pretty.
Just so you know that I'm not full of shit. Like, come on, mate. You got to do something.
Oh my gosh. Fuck. Dude, we got to. Okay, whatever.
No bread, no nothing. You're not getting spared this time. You're doing it the real way.
Mike, dude.
Yeah, you got to.
Hold on. I'm gonna
The
wait.
whole thing.
I'm going to wait. Get Jesse's on this too, even though
Go on, you have to.
he has to cry
Behind
off
the
camera.
scenes does not get
All right,
spared
ready?
from the.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
He smelled it and just can't even put it near his mouth. He knows how bad it is. He's like, no, I'm not doing it.
Not bad.
It's like
It's like a weird cheese almost.
the way I felt about it, like the first time I tried it, I feel it again. It feels like you're eating like just straight up pouring like the ramen flavor packet into your mouth.
So they make it, right? They scrape the bottom of the vat when they're brewing beer. And that's the sediment out of the bottom of a beer vat. And then they concentrate it or whatever. And that is how you make Vegemite.
Interesting. Are you dying over there, Jesse?
You're never going to get rid of that stink finger now either.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vegemite fingers. Pure yeast.
Just like burp.
Like arguably not as bad as people
Yeah.
think, right? Or say.
In
it is.
my mind, as soon as I had it, I was like quickly being like, butter. Make it taste like butter. And then it wasn't taste like butter. I was like, make it taste like cheese.
It's like just shockingly salty.
Yeah.
Very salty, yeah. Very strong flavor. So I think like I'll do some avocado, put the Vegemite on the toast, and then like smear some avocado on it, some tomato and cheese, and let somebody try it like that for the first time. If I don't want to laugh at them and the facial expressions they pull when they try it for the first time, if I actually like want to give them a pleasant first Vegemite experience.
Yeah.
It's not as much fun. Like, I feel like that first Vegemite experience needs to be a whole spoonful.
Here's a spoon.
And you just want to just throw up
See,
for the next week.
We were warned. And so she's like, no, like you got to just put like a tiny bit on your toast. And so we all did that, and it was delicious. And our buddy was so pissed, dude. Like he was so mad at his girlfriend.
The one time I had it before, it was so I went to school for audio engineering, and one of the head campuses was in Byron Bay.
Oh, sweet.
SAE. So like some of the dudes from there were in town at the LA campus and had brought Vegemite, and same thing, like I was given a spoonful and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like what? Like it wasn't awful, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared for it.
Especially when they say like, oh, you put it on toast or whatever.
Yeah.
So like you think maybe it's going to be like peanut butter or Nutella or something like that. And then it's just the most saltiest thing you've ever put in your mouth.
I also complimented one of the ladies on her fanny pack. And was immediately told that was offensive.
Don't say fanny to an Aussie.
Yeah.
It means snatch.
Yeah. It means
it's
you're
the front bum. It's the front bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the back bum like it is here. It's the front bum in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, my bad. I was actually talking about the bag you're wearing around your waist.
It's not a bag.
Yeah, it's not a bag. I learned something new that day.
I did not know that. All right. What's something that you love that's very U.S. that you don't get to have when you go to Australia?
Wow, there's a lot. Australia has a lot of rules. I really love, even though there's rules here in America, right? If you break the rules quietly, nobody cares. Like, in Australia, there's a lot of Big Brother, I guess, keeping you safe. When I go back to Australia, I'm too scared to drive a lot of the time because there's speed cameras everywhere. They'll park like a trailer on the side of the road. Looks like some dude's construction trailer, and he's like parked there to work on somebody's house. They've hidden speed cameras in it, and you just drive past and you don't even know till weeks later you get a letter in the mail, $500 fine, and like, so that's probably the biggest difference I find traveling back and forwards between Australia and the US.
Registration and stuff like that is pretty strict out there too, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
as far as modifying cars.
Oh yeah, you're not allowed to probably even modify a car even half as much as you're allowed to here in Southern California, especially. I mean, Southern California is just a mecca for car people.
To be fair, we do all of it and then we get in trouble for it afterwards. But
Even when you get in trouble here, it's like a fix-it ticket. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't have windshield wipers, you don't have seatbelts, you don't have a floor, your engine is like next to your passengers. Just take it home and fix it and pay me $50, right? And then the next week you're out driving again, you haven't touched anything, and the same highway patrol guy's like, yeah, cool, man, love your wheels. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it.
now, and then this is just a total nerd question on my end, and I could be just way off base, but how popular is Mighty Car Mods in Australia versus out here? Are you familiar with Mighty Car Mods? They're Australian dudes that have a YouTube channel. It's like millions and millions of people, and they just show you how to work on cars.
Oh, okay.
And they're, these two Australian dudes, but like there's even like US meets and shit like that out here. And they're from, I don't know exactly where, maybe right outside of Sydney.
I'm sorry, everyone in Australia, that I don't know what this is. I feel less Australian for not knowing this.
In all fairness, you've been here 11 years, so.
Yeah.
They're not going to cut me any slack.
And that's the reason I ask. Like, is it just like we're just American? We're just fascinated by these Australian dudes, or
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask some of my friends back home. I know, like, so Steve Irwin, right? Like, he was massive here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
He was popular in Australia. He was on television a bit in Australia, but he was like he was
god here.
royalty here. Yeah, like even now it's been decades since he died, and like if anybody mentions his name, like I love Steve Irwin. I'm still so sad that he passed away, and he definitely wasn't that popular amongst anyone that I hung around with in Australia. I actually know a guy who went to school with him. His zoo, about 45 minutes from where I grew up.
Interesting.
And it's one of my favorite places to take anyone. And if you're going to Australia in April or whenever, go. Just go to the Australia Zoo. Just take the day and go there. You can see all of those weird, crazy Australian animals that like...
Drop bears.
Except the drop bears. Right. They're not good for business at Australia Zoo. They got some drop bear repellent there. But like the platypus and the Tasmanian devil and like echidna and all them weird, freaky, crazy animals that like only Australia has. Not only do they have them and you get to see them, but they've got all kinds of crazy shows where they've trained different animals that you wouldn't think you could train and to do act like they would act kind of naturally but on command.
Okay.
So it's probably the best way to see that Australian wildlife and learn enough about it that you'd appreciate it and not just be shit scared of it.
Where is it at?
Near Brisbane, about 45 minutes north of Brisbane.
Okay.
In Queensland. So I don't know if you got any shows that far north.
I think we do. Brisbane, I think for sure we're playing.
Okay. Yeah, it's not far from Brisbane.
We the only thing we got to do like kind of like touristy like that was we went to the koala park or the koala.
Yeah, a koala sanctuary, koala park. Yep.
But I feel like that's kind of like.
Did you hold one?
Sure did.
You did? I've never held a koala.
No?
No, they smell so bad. There's no way I would hold one, man. They stink of like old man BO. So strong.
Dude, we were online to like, to hold it, and like the koala was like not liking the people, and it was like clawing the legs, like ah. So we're like, do we really want to do this? Is this really
They have two thumbs and like serious claws. Like, yeah.
It was cool. We got to see koalas and we got to play with kangaroos or whatever, or be by them. I still like to tell people that like kangaroos kind of terrify me now, just because I had a little female kangaroo, kind of just I had like crackers or whatever I was feeding it, step on my foot, like didn't hurt anything, but like when she got up to get the cracker, I could feel how powerful her little leg was.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, wow, you're a little one. I can't imagine what the big ones are like.
If they wanted to, they'd mess you up. But same with the koala. I mean, like a koala, they'll rip your dog to shreds if they're scared and the dog's trying to attack them. There's been plenty of times when a koala's like, hack the dog up pretty good. But they got these big fat claws, man. It's any wild, like a raccoon, right? A raccoon will carve something up if it's scared.
Yeah, Mike.
Every now and then,
Mike.
Dude,
see what those raccoons do?
Yeah, fucking sick. People send me stuff of like raccoons like killing things. I'm like, I know.
Circle of life, doc.
Yeah, they're precious and cute, but they can also take life.
Do you know about Mike's obsession with koala or with raccoons? Mike has this like if you ask people, jokingly ask him like, oh, like what would you do if you owned a koala, and he has a legitimate real answer about, or not a koala, sorry, a raccoon. Like
I was like, what?
What would you? Yeah, no, I've got koalas in my brain now. Like they've asked him like what would you do if you could own a raccoon? And he has a legit life plan for basically having a raccoon.
So what are the regulations around having a pet raccoon in California?
They're not. You're not allowed to have them, but people have them.
Is there any can you be like a wildlife rehabilitator or something? You're allowed to
but
have
you have
them?
to have a license for that. Like you can like for raccoons, squirrels, possums, things like that. Like you can have, if you have a practice or whatever, like you can have a sanctuary for them.
I wish I had prepared my possum video.
Okay, so Steve has a possum video. That is so disgusting. It's become like my party trick. It's not even mine. I've had to have shown you guys.
It was a seriously scary situation, man. I was in a workshop. I was just sitting there doing some paperwork, just local here in Riverside. I was working for a friend's company for a little while in the off season, and I heard this hissing noise, and I'm like, "Oh, is there a snake or something in here?" And I'm just like casually looking around for a snake.
Casually
And
Australian and
casually, I
unfazed, and unfazed by it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life comes crawling through this huge big mama possum with like, I don't know, it seemed like 20 babies hanging off of her everywhere. There was maybe 4, I guess, but like hissing and like just strolling through the shop. Like it was sketchy.
Dude,
What the fuck?
I love your response. Like someone from Australia who's seen a platypus, who's seen
Eat a platypus.
who's seen crazy things. His reaction was like, "Ew."
It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my
They're
life.
so gross looking. They're so gross.
Oh, dude, I
It's like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle rat.
Yes.
Like, it's like Splinter got somewhere, like, lost halfway in his transformation from rat to Splinter, and he got stuck as
Dude,
Possum.
that should have been like the ultimate bad guy for Splinter. Like aside from Shredder,
The possum.
the possum.
Possum.
Ugh.
Ew, dude.
But what makes it worse is like when they've just had babies and they're all floppy.
That's
the
what-
babies
And you
hang
had the
on them.
babies hanging off of
Yeah.
it, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was bad.
Ugh.
We gotta find this. So I'll go on. I'll find that video and I'll be like, okay, here. Like I can't look, dude.
All right. Well, you got some questions over there, and then we'll end with our mental health check.
Well, and dude, before we end, or should we just end with the mental health check?
We'll end with
Very-
the mental health check.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, just have a couple questions. We're gonna answer as best we can. This is from our boy Ty. He says, "Describe your self-care Saturday after a mentally stressful week. Money is no object."
Ooh. Okay. That makes it harder now. If money's no object, and you can do whatever you want.
Sadly for me, it's not really that crazy as I'm going through it in
What's
my head.
yours?
Mine, I mean, what my my self-care day would be? Just getting coffee, getting sushi, and then going to like a movie.
But that's what we do all the time.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't,
If it
I don't
works,
know.
It works, right?
yeah. If going to like maybe just walk around Angel Stadium.
I feel like for me, I'd have to go on a ride somewhere, take the bike out, go somewhere sick, stay the night.
Cook breakfast. I love to cook breakfast. That's my relaxation thing. One of the things I really like to do to chill out is not have to be rushed to be somewhere and do something. Just be able to like make myself a nice extravagant breakfast.
What is that? What does that
Yeah.
entail?
If
You're like
you-
Vegemite, avocado.
like you have all the money,
Avo-
all the money you need, and all the time.
Is there? What's the avocado situation in Australia?
There's a lot of avocados.
Okay.
They grow a fair bit of avocado near where I grew up, so we've always been on a pretty high avocado, and lots of mangoes they grow as well. But I don't know. I like to just cook with what I have a lot of the time. But yeah, probably some avocado, tomato. I like doing poached eggs, make my own hollandaise sauce from scratch, do like a little eggs Benedict thing or something like that with some good bread that's hard to find in America with no sugar in it. Yeah. Some whole wheat, like multi-grain bread with no sugar, which is very, very difficult for me to find. If anybody knows good sources of this, fresh, like the kind of bread that in 2 days' time you can't eat it because it's turned into a rock. That kind of bread, right? If anyone
Ezekiel
knows,
it
might
Oh,
come.
yeah.
Have you had Ezekiel bread?
Yeah, that kind of bread.
Yeah.
So that, and if as long as there's no one from the highway patrol like near me or watching or listening, take my motorcycle out for a ride as well.
Right.
It's not registered though.
What do you ride?
At the moment, I've got a 1969 Triumph.
Nice.
I bought from a crazy mobster in Ohio, legit like crime family blow up cars back in the 70s kind of mobster in Ohio.
Nice.
Yeah, stupid
So he
punk kid
retired?
from Australia has no idea, right? Oh yeah, cool man. What do you do? He's like, oh, I'm part of this family, and I don't remember the family name, but
That's
the
fine.
guy that I had come with me because I needed to borrow his car and his trailer to pick up the motorcycle, he knew exactly who this guy was. They were sitting there talking about all these stories of like this like scrap metal yard that'd go in there and just like take all of these automatic weapons and just shoot the shit out of everything and like blow up cars for practice for when they were trying to like blow someone up in their car and like. So I bought this thing and I got it and I go to register it. And I take the title in, and it's a Canadian title, and I'm not smart enough to realize it's different than an American title. And they're like, "Oh, well, where's your import paperwork?" I'm like, "What? No, I got the title. What? I'm not importing it. It's right here."
Yeah.
They're like, "No, it's got to have all this paperwork that it's been imported from Canada. Otherwise, we can't register it. And in fact, if it's been sold without being imported, that's actually against the law, and we'll have to impound the bike."
You're like, no.
So she's like, "Take your bike and leave now before I have to impound it." And I'm like, "Okay, cool, no problem." And that was like 5 years ago or something. So I just very rarely do I ever use it. And it's a 1969 Triumph, so its max speed's about 50.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to get a speeding ticket on it. And I'll just ride it down, get a coffee, or like cruise somewhere local on it a little bit. But nowhere, I can't go on a nice long ride or anywhere fun on it, which I miss. That's probably something else I miss about Australia. I can go jump on a dirt bike and go ride through the woods for hours and hours on end. And I got a motorcycle that's actually registered in Australia. I'm legally allowed to ride on the street.
Nice.
Dang, I don't think I knew you were a cyclist.
A cyclist?
Not sure that was the correct term.
I didn't know you like to pedal.
Yeah. The neon spandex and. All right. This one's also from Ty. It says, do you need certain heads up? What? I think he meant A. Do you need a certain headspace when writing? Or what's the best headspace to be when writing?
When writing music?
I guess.
It depends. It depends on, I guess, the song that I'm writing. It depends on, like, the kind of the vibe that I get from the music itself. You know, like, you can't just be, like, getting off a date with your girlfriend and, you know, be all in love and shit and then write a song about being heartbroken because it doesn't really translate. So I guess it just kind of depends on for me anyways, it kind of depends on the situation. But if I'm telling a story outside of like my perspective, right? Like if I'm writing from the perspective of somebody else, it's a little easier. Yeah. You know, I guess it just depends.
Yeah, I think headspace for me. I think as long as I have to give myself time usually to write. If I feel like I have too many things going on, it's hard for me to. And so I have to like be super intentional about my writing. And I think when I'm intentional, it at least gives me an opportunity to get into like the headspace. Yeah. Because if I just try to do it, it doesn't really work out. Joel, go with the hard hitting ones. Pineapple on pizza.
I'm a fan.
Pro,
me too.
Yeah.
Jesse? No? Okay, well you stay silent over there.
Just for that, no, you got to take another finger of Vegemite. He's still reeling
like
from
you'll
it.
never speak to me again. Like, don't invite your Australian friend over anymore.
This was helpful because I had that. What was getting me was the aftertaste.
I
Do you
still
want some
have
more
it.
ginger bears? That's what he needs the whole bag.
Yeah.
Just keep it, mate.
Just hold on to that bag.
You've earned it. Wait, hang on. You got to try them too then. These, I promise, aren't gross. Well, I mean, they're not Vegemite flavored, that's for sure. These are my other favorite candy.
I love the name Cheekies.
They've politically correctly changed the name. When I grew up, they were called Chico Babies,
Oh,
which
that's fair.
I didn't realize was not correct.
Chocolate flavored jelly babies.
So it's kind of like
a chocolate. jelly.
like a chocolate Swedish fish, I guess would be how I could describe it.
That's interesting. You want to hit that, Mike?
No.
I can see why the name change was necessary for.
Eating small brown babies maybe is not as
Yeah.
politically correct as
Yeah.
it once was.
Not the best name, but a good snack.
I like it.
I like it.
All right. Joka also asked, best pizza joint in Southern California.
Dude. Okay. You live in the Riverside area, right? So are you familiar with that New York pizza place that's like down the street from Daily Brew?
I've had a very bad experience with that place.
Did you?
So, yeah.
What was your experience? I'm curious.
It was just really bad pizza.
Really?
It was terrible. Yeah. I ate there one time and I'm like, whoop, nope.
We went there for the first time today.
Okay.
First time
This
ever.
was maybe not 10 years ago, but this was maybe 8 years ago. So maybe it's different.
I don't know, but we've lived here for who knows how long now at this point. Mike's been here like all his life. Always seen that place. Mm-hmm. Never been. Right?
Why would you stop there though? It's a really random
It's
spot
a really
for a pizza
random spot.
place.
So we've been talking about it on this podcast saying like that it's weird that that's there and none of us have ever eaten there, but it's never shut down. Like it's just always been there. So maybe it's gone through different ownership.
I've never really known anyone who's eaten there either.
Yeah. And so we ate there today and it was actually
Dude, it's pretty fire.
really fucking good pizza.
I liked it.
I'll have to try it again then.
And I told my girlfriend, because she used to work across the street from there. I was like, hey, we ate there. She's like, how?
What, at the cell phone repair place?
No, she worked at a dental office across the street.
There's not much there.
Yeah, there's not a lot over there. So she was like, I've tried to call over there so many times when I used to work there, and they would never open. They would never, because we were under the impression it was a money laundering front. You know, it still might be.
Yeah.
Because they were a little shocked that we were there. They're like, oh, we could help you up front.
Like, go to the front.
Yeah.
No, they see back here.
So I'll say pizza today, at least, maybe it was due to cooking, like an 8 on the pizza. Ambiance, about a 0.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely
Walk
a
up
place
window.
where you pick up your food and you want to
Yeah, and you leave.
quickly as possible.
Yeah, because there was a crackhead lady that was like, do you actually eat food here? And we're like, yeah, we're eating food right now.
We're like, oddly enough, yeah.
Yeah, weird. Then she went running across the street and almost got hit by the fork.
You know what though? Fair question though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because maybe she's like walking.
Yeah,
the
maybe
streets.
she's never seen people there.
Yeah.
ever.
She's like, no one eats here.
And then I feel like us being there inspired other people to be there because there were like 2 other dudes.
No,
that, like,
wait, it is open.
like 2 other dudes like randomly wandered in. Like,
Also, while Mike and I were eating, we saw the cutest little puppy right across the way.
Yeah, homeless guy at a tire shop had a nice little tiny baby black lab, and I was like, I want that dog. But that dog's probably gonna get more love and affection from that guy than me.
I guess so Southern California pizza spots you guys recommend?
I would have to try that place one or twice more to recommend it to people. Mm-hmm. But as far as other places go, I feel like there's not too many pizza places that I've been like super stoked on out here.
If we're going to Southern California, yeah, that's the question.
Yeah.
I really like Luigi's in San Diego.
Yeah.
It's on, what is it, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Mm-hmm. There's a pizza place in LA that imports New York water that I want to try.
That's what Luigi's does.
Yeah, they import water from New York so that you get the same texture and flavor in the dough. So you get true New York style pizza. But I haven't
A bit of rat shit in the water, just the key.
Yeah, that's what makes it great.
Okay.
That's what makes it,
But wasn't it you that was telling me that you were in New York? You were asking people like, "Where's the best place to get pizza?" They're like Papa John's.
Dude,
Oh my God.
dude, straight up cops. 2 cops. We asked them, and they were also the ones who were like, "You don't want to park here. Like your car's gonna get broken into." We're like, "Aren't you guys walking the street?" They're like,
Don't matter.
Your cars get broken into if you stay parked here." We're like, all right, thank you.
I stopped asking anybody in the US because being on tour and stuff like that with the racing, I'd be in a different city all the time, right? And I'm not a fan of fast food. I try my hardest to never eat it, and I'm not a fan of chain restaurants at all. I enjoy the surprise of a pleasantly good meal at a little mum and pop place or a hole in the wall place or whatever, and the challenge of trying to find somewhere decent, you know. I've been disappointed quite a few times. But I used to ask people, I'd be somewhere and I remember one time I was in Arizona. We were racing Phoenix. And I was getting my hair cut we were just near where we were staying in the hotel, and I went walking. It was about 20 minutes walk down the street. And it was a black barbershop, right? And I'd never been in one before. I'd seen them on some movies and stuff like that. And I walked in and it's probably one of the best haircut experiences I've ever had in my whole life, man. Like, I think I was maybe here living in the US for maybe 3 months or something before this happened. So I was still pretty green and very, very strict, thick Australian accent. This accent is not anywhere near as thick as what it is when I first get back from Australia after I go visit. And they couldn't understand 3/4 of what I said. And I didn't really know 3/4 of what they were saying. But we all got along really well and had lots of fun. And I was like feeling like one of the boys. And I'm like, hey, where's somewhere really good to go eat? And the dude's like, PF Chang's. And I'm like... So I stopped asking anyone ever where to eat because it's always a chain restaurant or a fast food restaurant. Like,
literally today we're driving and we're like, where have we not eaten lately? And I was like, well, there's like Cheesecake Factory over there and PF Chang's. And Michael's like, oh, PF Chang's. And then he goes, just don't get your hopes up because I don't like PF Chang's. I was like, I don't really like PF Chang's either. I just threw it out there. Not the greatest.
What are those worst Americans that you will recommend chains? EJ's.
Yeah.
everybody does, though.
Oh, mostly because it's just the
You know what you're going to get, I guess.
Yeah,
is
those chains is just they serve something for everyone.
I feel like it's a really disappointing way to live your life, though, that's what you're happy about. Food is you're like, oh, yeah, I know it's kind of like fucking off the Cisco truck and mostly poison, but I know what I'm going to get.
Yeah. That's
fair.
Seems accurate.
All right. I already some shade from another one from Toca. Why are the Bills cheating? and should easily tempered people watch sports?
Yes.
Yes.
Especially after the Chargers game. You see it? They were up by like 30 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and then just
30-0, and then second half, they just started climbing up. They beat them at the end.
I feel like sports for anyone, if they have anger issues, I mean, I guess that's hard, but like, I think if anything, it's a good lesson in like losing. Obviously, you're gonna, I don't know. I'm sure there's a deeper answer to this, but
I just like the videos of the dudes that like get so pissed off that they like break their TVs and stuff.
oh yeah,
like,
I start crying.
It's not that serious, guy.
All right, so my frenemy, Andrew. We have he's on the podcast that we're having the beef with.
Oh, it's the Del Taco podcast?
Yep.
The Pro Del Taco podcast.
Yeah. But one of the guys on there, and him and I were on the same team for our football thing.
So being an invited guest, like, do I have to be pro Del Taco or?
No.
I mean,
no, we let it slide.
Yeah.
We let it slide.
Okay.
We're in all, what is it, equal opportunity.
Yeah.
We judge silently. All right, Andrew's question is, tinfoil hat time. Yes. What's more likely to be real, Bigfoot or Loch Ness monster?
Bigfoot.
And he says, cue the X-Files song.
Bigfoot, 1000%. Loch Ness monster has only been seen ever in one place, right? Mm-hmm. Bigfoot sightings all over.
Yeah.
We have birds in Australia called a cassowary. Look it up. It's the closest relative to a velociraptor. It's still alive. I feel like Loch Ness monster for sure. The shit we got in Australia, I'm pretty sure there's a fucking dragon or something living in Scotland. Like, I can totally see it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Bigfoot's just Daniel Boone's grandson or something, maybe. Like way.
Dude, the crazy thing is that's the first reference I've heard about Daniel Boone in so long that I'd forgotten about it. And then I just clicked in my head because we used to hear these stories all the time in like Tennessee and shit. Like, amazing.
He's pretty popular still back then.
Spent a lot of time in North Carolina.
Yeah. Did eat deer, fresh killed deer meat for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Living in North Carolina. It's
How'd
pretty
you
good.
feel about that?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Did you have the jerky?
I did try. I don't know if it was. Yeah, I think it must have been deer jerky. I did try that as well. It was.
Can't hide your beautiful face.
No.
Sorry. Well, it looked like I was eating the microphone there. Yeah, tried the jerky. It was pretty good.
Nice.
Tried cooking the deer meat. I failed miserably my first attempt. Second attempt, after some guidance, was much better.
Yeah.
Definitely a slow cook meat, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. Chad, our boy Chad Ackerman. He said, what is your favorite food and why is it San Diego burritos?
That's pretty close.
Yeah, I do love San
I
Diego.
feel like burritos are just my lifeblood at this point. There is a Filipino dish called kare kare, which is oxtail. It's like oxtail, slow cooked oxtail in like a potato sauce with that's like served over rice with it's got like bok choy and eggplant and the long green beans in it and stuff like that. And that's just like, but it's got to be my mom making it. But it's like probably one of my most favorite dishes.
Yeah. Do you get down to San Diego for burritos?
I don't think I've gone to San Diego specifically for burritos. But I was in San Diego back in September or October. Was not overly impressed with San Diego when I was there. I had to step over people poo 4 times in one morning, which I'm not sure what's happening in San Diego, but like it was more dirty than San Francisco.
Wow.
It was pretty gnarly. We stayed downtown there at like, I don't know, America's Best Value Inn or something, which was fine. It was fine. But like trying to walk, because my buddy from Australia was over to visit, my best friend from Australia, Nick, he was over to visit, and we did a little mini road trip up Highway 1 to San Francisco and then across the desert, down 395 into Vegas, and then to Havasu, then down into Mexico for 4 days or something, Rocky Point, south of Phoenix there, and then came back out of Mexico to San Diego. Mm-hmm. And out of all of it, I think San Diego was probably the dirtiest place we had been.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe we're just there on a bad Tuesday. I don't know.
They hadn't done the poop sweeping yet.
Yeah. I feel like California in general has just started to slightly go downhill, like without talking shit, just because of the homeless population everywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
Like everywhere you go, it's like it's like what, like a sanctuary state, basically, right?
But if you just built some public restrooms or
Yeah.
like had an incentive for businesses to not lock their doors and stop people from using the restroom, maybe
Right.
it wouldn't be all over the street. I don't know. Just
Right.
a thought.
Yeah.
Well, I think Chad needs to take us to some San Diego burrito spots.
Chad,
Is there like a special San Diego.
Well, the
burrito
famous
place.
one made famous by Blink-182 with sombreros, but that's just like the popular one.
How about this? How about we do a Feels on Wheels episode with Chad? Yeah. We'll go down to San Diego and get some burritos and do an episode out there.
I like that. All right. This is from intern Harry. He says, Bo Jackson versus Deion Sanders. Who was more athletic?
Oh.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I'm out this one.
Just gonna casually eat some candy over
Get some
here.
cheekies over here.
That don't exist. I don't know what the sounds your mouth are making are, but I don't know those people.
they both played football and baseball professionally, but I know they also both played basketball. But I'm pretty sure Bo Jackson played like tennis.
Yeah, but also different times, right?
Yeah.
Like would you like, let's say that you think about like athletes nowadays, like you look at like the young up and coming football players, you know, that's a different level of athleticism than the dudes that were playing football 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Way more specialized now. That's gotta be for sure.
But yeah, I think I'd go with Bo Jackson. Harry also asked, current favorite player on your NFL teams?
Joe, all the way.
I'm gonna go Diggs. Harry told me to watch the video about him,
Mm-hmm.
and so now that I got his backstory, I'm like, I'm rooting for him. From our boy Rinaldi, Daniel Rinaldi.
Yeah.
He says, "Do you miss me?" Yes, we do.
1000%.
Yes, we do. And I still have his hoodie that he sent him.
What a dick.
I'm the fucking worst, dude, with that shit. I am the worst. All right, and then last one, or last, I guess, couple questions. We don't have to go too deep into these, but do you think your life has been less stressful the last 10 years, or is it more stressful now?
Less stressful the last 10 years, or I feel like my life has gotten more stressful. I feel like 10 years ago when we were like playing shows and
Touring.
on the road and touring and stuff, it was just like, okay, you know, like,
Yeah, that was easy time. I mean, hard on the body
and the wallet
and emotionally, but
yeah, you guys way more so than me, but yeah.
where are you for the last 10 years, do you think?
Oh, my life's definitely way less stressful. Yeah, no, for the last decade, like I said, I've been
Living the dream.
living my dream and really enjoying it, even if it is maybe on paper more stressful. I'm able to deal with it or accept it or whatever, manage it much better than what I was doing 10 years ago. That's for sure. What about you?
Now for sure. Just
Really?
'cause-
Why is it more stressful the older you get? Why are you not better at dealing with stress as you get older?
Well, I think I'm better at dealing with stresses now, but I think my stresses back then, I was just too young to even care or notice my stresses, I think. And then whereas now, I feel like it's weird. 'Cause I feel like 10 years ago, I was really in like the heat of what I was like wanting to do, like my dream and stuff. And then now, I feel like I'm at like, which is exciting, but I feel like I'm at like starting points or like tipping points for new things. If that makes sense. So I think in that sense it's nice, but it's also, I don't know, I guess more stressful, being adult, more
So you're just
responsibilities.
more aware of
You're probably that.
or
Yeah,
is it
I've
more
always-
stressful?
Well, it's probably had these.
Because
Yeah, I think I'm just more aware of it now. But, and then, what's worse, stepping on a Lego barefoot or having something in your shoe that you can't get out?
Something in your shoe that you can't get out.
Yeah.
1000%.
Um,
Lego's temporary. You gotta walk in that shoe all fucking day.
Sure. Kevin Hart or Ben Stiller? I'm assuming movies. I'm gonna go Ben Stiller.
If we're gonna go movies, Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Yeah. More bangers.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart's movie lineup. Still not holding up the greatest.
Yeah.
We all remember Soul Plane.
Or 40-Year-Old Virgin. Not his
that's right.
movie, but he was in it.
That's right.
All right. Have you ever gotten a gift from someone, parent, girlfriend, friend, etc., and not liked it, but acted like you did?
Isn't that the meaning of Christmas?
Yes.
Yes. I think we just leave it at that.
Dude, actually, so one that sticks out. So I'm a Kings fan in hockey, always have been, and I was asking for a Kings jersey for Christmas.
Sacramento Kings.
No. And instead, I was given a Ducks jersey, and my family was so excited. They made such a big deal. And like as I was getting ready to open it, like
Was it innocent or was it
no, it was innocent.
intentional?
It's innocent, and I'm pretty sure it's because that was the year the Ducks became a professional team.
Oh.
And so I think they thought, I'm an Angel fan, I'm going to ride with the Ducks. And so they got me this jersey, and they're all excited. And I was like, man, I want it. And so I pretended to be like excited about it.
I think I was like 9 or 10, and my biological mom bought me a Michael Jordan jersey, right? Sick, huge Jordan fan. I'm like 9 years old, and this was an adult extra large jersey. I wasn't able to wear it until I was like legit, like in my 20s. In my 20s, like it just sat there. I was like, what the fuck? What is this? It's the coolest jersey. I can't wear it anywhere.
Okay, last question. I guess is anyone in here afraid of heights?
No.
Okay. Pretty sure I am.
Are you?
I don't know. I
You
feel
do like roller coasters and shit?
yeah.
Have you been up to like did you ever go in New York to any of the buildings?
No, but I would have.
in Vegas.
Stratosphere in Vegas.
I've done Stratosphere. Maybe I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid of heights.
You just don't like when you're
He has a
thinking.
respect for not falling off of things from a high distance. I feel like that sounds just normal.
Yeah, that's regular. Like you don't want to fall.
You're gonna have a panic attack and like lose the ability to speak or move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. Jesse. All right, so those were the questions. We're doing the show, I guess, in opposite.
And we're
The
doing
opposite.
it backwards. We're going down the other way.
Down under, you could say.
Or let's not and say we did.
So our mental health check. We normally start this a lot sooner, but basically we just check in where we're at mentally for the week, and kind of see like if there's anything that we're doing that's helping us mentally, or maybe we're like neglecting to do something that maybe is keeping us in. If we're in a funk, that's keeping us there. Who's going first?
I'll go first.
Right.
So I was gonna bring this up at the beginning of the show. Luckily, we made it all the way to the end, and then now I can talk about this, and you guys won't look at it the entire time. But I bought this shirt when we were on tour, right, at this vintage store, and it wasn't until today when I turned on the cameras that I realized that this just looks like one big sperm.
Yep.
That's swimming towards my mouth.
100%.
Right, 100%. I think it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be a bullet hole that's bleeding in this like smiley face.
Definitely not.
Shirt, definitely not. Just looks like sperm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one on the back too. So getting it from both sides here. Other than that,
So is that helping or
I can't tell.
not helping?
I don't know. I left the
confused.
shirt on though. You
Okay,
know.
yeah.
So other than that, it's been. I'm good. I've been super busy. Been helping my parents move into their new house, helping them build out a bunch of stuff, helping that like I'm putting a desk together for my dad. So this morning I went and picked up a 8-foot long butcher block, and our van is the tire got shredded, and I was waiting for a tool to drop the spare, so it's been sitting there. So I had to fit all that in a little Audi, and so I had like my fucking was like driving like this because the butcher block was like basically on my shoulder and over my head.
Seems totally safe.
Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna get this done.
And it was raining.
Yeah, it was raining. Yeah, so that was a little hectic, but other than that, I've just been busy, but a good kind of busy. So, and nothing too crazy. Like this morning, I was supposed to get up and work out and didn't. Slept in because I had the day off, which was kind of nice. It's kind of like I'm a little bummed I didn't get to work out, but I felt good because I slept in for a little bit for the first time in a while. So.
We had healthy pizza. So
Yeah.
Steve, where you at mentally this week?
Probably pretty good, I guess. I was pretty excited to hopefully get to go home to Australia for the first time in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturday, found out that was cancelled. I'd been preparing myself for it. And I'm to be honest, I'm a little bit too busy at the moment. It's been a lot of really good opportunities come up for me in the last 6 weeks, racing-wise, planning into the body of this summer and this race season. This is my off season right now, being the winter time for racing in the US. This is the middle of peak race season for Australia. And years ago, I used to be fortunate enough to be able to do both. So I don't know. I guess still in a good place. It's been a little bit challenging. Clearly miss my family. Haven't seen them in 3 years, and a lot of my friends. But it's been exciting to have these new opportunities come up, and the last 2 years have been a little bit quiet on the racing front for me as far as driving race cars and being at the racetrack. I've been building a lot of race cars during COVID, but not able to race a lot. So I'm probably lucky that I've been in California when all this has happened in the last week or two. This is, I guess, a happy place for me and a comfortable place for me. I haven't been in one place for very long in the last 12 years. The last 2 years in North Carolina is the longest I've been in any one place for 12 years. So being back out on the road again, my little road trip from North Carolina in my RV out to California, and the dramas and the nonsense that happened during that was good. Good for me, I think, good for my mental health, good to keep me motivated and looking forward to this year. It's a lot of hard work, my lifestyle. It's very different than most people that I hang around and most people that I know and grew up with. And at my age, still trying to chase my dream and still doing it. Is a lot of people are more settled, more normal, have that more like comfortable life set in stone. They know what they got to do each week and what they got to accomplish, and they're happy in their life with their family and their kids now and stuff like that. I don't have any of that. Sometimes it gets a little much. And being away from my family and my home country for such a long time has been a challenge over the last couple of years, more than I'd like to admit to most people. And I was very, very, very excited to finally get to go home. But I think I've realized that now that all the restrictions are lifted, I can go home whenever I want. Now it's just not really a good time for me to go home. I got so much opportunity and so much exciting things in the works and happening, and the next 2 months is going to be so busy for me preparing for this new season that it's really just not the right time to go home. It's not that I can't now, and I think the not being able to go home was what I was struggling with the most.
Right.
Not so much not going home. You know, with FaceTime and all of that stuff now, I get to see my family. You know, it's on my phone, but I still get to see them, get to share that emotion with them in their facial expressions and all that sort of shit, and my friends and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope I'm in a good place. Yeah.
I have one last question for you. How does Hot Rod feel about your racing career?
He's very supportive.
Okay.
Very, very supportive. We are very close and did everything together before I moved to the US.
Right.
And I think after 11 years of me being in the US, hopefully he's still happy with the fact that I'm on the other side of the world and doing what I enjoy and not doing things with him regularly. But we definitely miss each other a lot, that's for sure, and miss that time in each other's company.
Right.
You know, which you can spend the time talking to each other on FaceTime and you can see the emotion and share a lot more than you could writing a letter or talking on the phone, you know. And now with the FaceTime and all that shit, you don't have to worry about, oh, okay, well, I got 5 minutes on my calling card left, you know, to be able to call another country or whatever I used to have to do. It's just so easy, but not, you know, sitting next to each other, having dinner with each other, giving each other a hug, that sort of thing. It is hard.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was, you know, like, obviously not that far, but he was in Atlanta. And so, like, it's been, like, probably 16, 17 years that we were living across the country from each other. So for them, they just moved back here, like, back in March. And just to be, like, able to just be like, hey, let's go get dinner, you know, or, like, let's grab a steak, something like that.
Help him put
like this whole house process that they've been going through, like, like, hey, you home? I'm gonna come by. Like, there's just shit like that. Like I didn't think about it when, you know, obviously when they were living in Atlanta. I'm like, oh yeah, this is just the dynamic that we have, FaceTime and all that stuff. Like, it's cool, but then you don't realize how much those, like, really are, like, impactful until it's like you're back in their presence, right?
Yeah,
and that's tough. Like, so and it's a lot harder to hop on a flight to Australia versus, like, oh, we're just gonna go to Atlanta for a week and come back, you know. So
yeah,
I hope you get to go back soon, man.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen when I'm ready for it to happen and it's the right opportunity. Flights are still triple what they used to be right now. $3,500 for a round trip flight to Australia is just outrageous. You know, I've done it for $750 before.
Yeah,
you know, I've had plenty of friends for $800, $1,000. You can round trip from LA to Brisbane or Sydney or Melbourne. You know, and for it to be $3,500 right now, hopefully they'll start getting more reasonable again. I think they're trying to make back all that money they missed when they weren't allowed to fly people around the world.
Yep. And they know people are just paying for it right now, so
I mean,
why go back if people will still pay those prices?
Yeah.
But
so where are you at?
I think I'm doing pretty well mentally. This has been I feel like for the last couple of months I've been on, like, a type of diet thing. Today was not my diet day. It's like a cheat day that came out of nowhere. But I've been sticking pretty good with, like, intermittent fasting, which I thought would be very difficult for me, but it's been pretty manageable. And I think that's probably gonna be more easier for me as far as, like, I can do no sugar. No sugar is, like, that's not that difficult for me. But
there's sugar in everything.
I know, but carbs for me is the hardest. Like, saying no to pizza today would have been hard.
Which is everything.
And I brought, like, 3 bags of candy.
Sorry. Well, I mean, today.
Luckily, it's a cheat day.
Yeah. Today's a wash. It's fine. I'll start again tomorrow. But what's been nice is that like, for me, when I find, like, when I'm eating better, I feel like, obviously, I feel better.
So can I just quickly on that? For me, food is everything for my mental health. And when I was younger, I went through a pretty traumatic experience. My best friend died of arms when I was 15. We were out riding dirt bikes and he had a crash and he was pretty mutilated. And I held him together until the ambulance arrived and he didn't make it. It really affected my outlook on life. And I was 15, so I was already in that whole adolescent kind of struggle that we go through. Yeah, and you know, dealing with those hormones and emotions and not knowing where you fit in and all that sort of stuff. And then through that on top of it, and I was not a model citizen for quite a while. I partied way too heavily for a while there, and Didn't really have much respect for my own health and life, but got a lot of help. Found a really great psychologist that I spent a decade going to see her week in, week out, and eventually got off of all the terrible pharmaceutical medication that the doctors and stuff had me on to try and get me through, whatever. But for me, after all of that, right, so that's decades ago, I'd like to consider myself not defined by that and not held back or anything by that, but I've managed to overcome it. I've managed to grow from it. I've managed to learn how to be somebody I'm proud of and work hard. And when I first moved to the US back in 2011, I jumped straight into the US diet. Coffee and donuts for breakfast, fast food here, fast food there. We're on tour around the country, in every fast food restaurant that's there, In-N-Out or Fat Burger or Whataburger or, whatever in that area is the Swenson's in Ohio. There's always some area's got its best fast food, right? Well, 2014, I think it was, I went back to Australia for 6 months. It was only maybe a month or two, and I noticed such a massive difference in my overall happiness and the control of my mood. Like my own ability to have control over my moods and my depression. And when I then moved back to the US later on in 2014, and I've been here the whole time since, I've just been very conscious about how I eat and what I eat. And sometimes when I'm out on tour, you just get busy. Racing's busy. You might get to the racetrack at 6 a.m. and leave the racetrack at 10 p.m. or 1 a.m. or something like that, right? And there's not a lot open late, but fast food. So you sometimes get caught back in that rhythm of bad food. And I can actually feel a difference in the way that I think and how hard it is for me to control my depression when I don't eat well and exercise. I exercise a lot, and yeah, I'm skinny. It's great for racing, but I think it's better for my head than it is for anything else, and it helps me survive better than anything else I was finding. It's way better than pharmaceuticals, that's for sure. Way better. So yeah, I don't know. That's my piece to add on the topic, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like a lot of just our world problems as far as like mentally, obviously, like our obesity problem and stuff like that. It's diet based, and what's sad is like our food pyramid and all that stuff has been wrong. Like,
but didn't they just come out with a new one that says like Lucky Charms are the most healthy things you can eat?
It depends what makes the most profit.
That's
the healthiest thing to eat.
The food pyramid just got re-released, and it says that Lucky Charms are healthier than like steak and chicken and all this stuff. I don't know. It was,
but yeah, I think that's been like kind of one of my, like, for when I like, because I was doing keto, but I think the big thing was the sugar. When I completely cut sugar out of my life, it was the most focused I think I've ever been in my life. Like the most clear I've been, and so I'm trying to get back to that best I can. I think the intermittent fasting makes me more aware of like the few meals that I am having now. I'm trying to be a little better about them. Obviously today not a good example of that, but
not the best.
But yeah, I think there's just a lot to go. Like diet, I think is very, very beneficial, and like you said, it's when you're feeling good, you just the ability to think clearly and think through problems as opposed to,
it's the same when it comes to how you think, right? So like I went through a decade basically of cognitive behavioral therapy, so it's being helped to think and question your own thought process, right? So you think something and you take it as gospel because you thought it, right? Your friend thinks something, says, oh, hey man, like, I think I'm stupid because of this, right? And he's your friend, and you see him externally of what he thinks, right? And you can just straight away, instantly, just know that's not real, right? But because he thought it, it's really difficult to overcome that, you know? Stand in front of the mirror and think I look ugly or whatever the heck it is, right? Because you had that thought, you naturally just believe the thought because you had it. So part of cognitive behavioral therapy is to try and teach you how to question those thoughts, identify those thoughts, those negative, harmful thoughts, and look at them more abstractly, and then try and remove yourself from it a little bit enough to be able to like question it and talk yourself through it and logic yourself out of going into that spiral of these negative thought processes. I found when I get down the rabbit hole a little bit like that, I more crave bad food and I more eat bad food and I fall down the rabbit hole even further, and it's harder to eat good when I feel bad. And I think it's a lot of the culture of like,
That's me 1,000% too.
oh, you had a breakup, eat ice cream, or oh, you had a bad day, eat this, or you know, eat this because it'll make you happy. When a lot of those things that are the go-to foods for distressing, bad, sad, whatever situation are foods that are actually chemically making the situation worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love that.
It's just an athlete talking about health, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry. I just want to go fast. That's really all it comes down to. The rest of it is just to try and help facilitate that.
Well, I think I appreciate you sharing that, especially with like the kind of podcast we are, because it's not just because you want to like look a certain way. It's because it helps you mentally, you know.
That's the number one reason for it, really. It's just a byproduct that it's actually something that I can use in my sport as well, is being thin. But it's more for health, for my mental health. I definitely wouldn't be able to push myself physically or mentally as hard if I didn't spend the time to take care of my head, I guess.
Dude, absolutely.
Yeah, that's facts though. It applies across everything that you do, like even outside of sport. You know, you got to take care of your health and your brain, you know, in order to make just everyday life, you know, work, if you will.
Yeah, you can the cliche of like, oh, like you can always fix, you know, in music, I'd say like, oh, like guys can fix their strings that they break or an amp or it breaks, but like if I'm not taking care of myself on tour, my voice goes out.
Yeah.
And so I have to take care of myself. But I think that's a good place to end with like a good message. Eat your veggies, stay away from sugar.
Eat your veggies, stay away from sugar, and follow the Walking Blind podcast everywhere.
Yeah.
At Walking Blind Pod, walkingbblindpod@gmail.com.
Is there anything we can plug for you on your end?
Instagram, social media.
Go to your local drag strip, have some fun, burn some tires. Easton Motorsport, I'm Steve Easton. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, Steve Easton Motorsport or Easton Motorsport. If you want, look at some fast
tag
cars
him.
and stuff.
We'll tag him on the bio. Yeah.
Okay.
So every now and then there's hilarious videos of me struggling trying to cross country in a crappy old RV that I decided was a great idea to buy that continuously breaks down and I have not enough tools to fix. So I try and bodgy anything I can together with a screwdriver. Sometimes that's entertaining.
Yeah. Well, we'll tag it if you guys want to follow it. So make sure you guys check it out. Thank you guys so much. We love you guys. Peace.